£116 million. That's what Liverpool paid for Florian Wirtz. At Bayer Leverkusen, he was the heartbeat of their unbeaten title run. 49 games, 38 goal contributions, Bundesliga Player of the Year, a generational wonderkid. But at Liverpool, 7 games, no goals, no assists. And now fans are asking the question, has Wirtz already lost his spark at Anfield? Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're breaking down Florian Wirtz's slow start at Liverpool. To understand the hype, we have to start with a 2024 article from the Bundesliga's own website titled Florian Wirtz, the return of the Majestic number 10. And it perfectly captures why expectations for him were sky high. Now, of course, you might think it was just the Bundesliga hyping one of their homegrown talents. And fair enough, leagues do that. But this wasn't empty praise. Confidently, the article made a strong case, describing Wirtz as the modern number 10, a role that's becoming increasingly rare in today's game. They even went as far as to place him in the same creative lineage as legends like Diego Maradona, Günter Netzer, Johan Cruyff, and Mesut Ozil. They called him number 10 reloaded, and the core argument was this. While modern playmakers tend to drift wide or drop deep, Wirtz demands the ball right in the pocket, that deadly space between midfield and defence. And the stats prove it. In a 2024-25 season, he was closed down 423 times, over 100 more than anyone else in Germany, yet somehow he still beat the press 62% of the time. That means he'll take the ball in a tight space, 3 defenders rush him, and somehow he slips through and releases a teammate. He might not always get the goal or assist, but the attack starts with him 9 out of 10 times. But here's the thing, at Anfield, we haven't seen that same magic yet, and I'll tell you why, but first, let's continue with the article. You've got to understand, this wasn't just a guy who could beat the press. The article literally called him unplayable between the lines. And that's the truth. His genius was simple. You couldn't defend him one-on-one. Give him even a second to turn and he'd be charging at goal. Game over. His numbers in Germany tell the story. He had the most completed dribbles in their title-winning campaign, with a 61% success rate. That implies more than half the time he was skipping past his marker and breaking into prime attacking territory. However, if you're a Premier League fan, you know there's a big caveat. Doing that in England against this kind of intensity is a whole different story. Time and space in the Premier League isn't promised. But let's get to the scary part. Wirtz wasn't just a central playmaker. When plan A didn't work, he had a plan B and C. He could drift wide, link up, beat a man, or deliver a killer pass. And as if that wasn't enough, he kept adding new weapons. Crossing, for example. By mid-season, he'd already put in more crosses than the entire previous year, and 4 of them directly led to goals. I know, defensively, he pressed from the front, read the game, and even created danger when nothing seemed on. Basically, the Bundesliga were telling us, this kid can do it all. That is the player Liverpool thought they were buying. That's the version of Wirtz that was sold to the fans. Now, what changed? To find out, I pulled up several articles, and the first one from Goal is titled Florian Wirtz warned he could be benched by Liverpool in the near future after difficulties adapting to the Premier League. We'll scroll down to one of the core issues, which they labelled struggling to cope with Premier League physicality. Reporting about Liverpool's defeat to Crystal Palace, the article clearly states that Wirtz was constantly getting caught on the ball and was unable to connect the intricate passes that have previously made him such a threat. At Bayer Leverkusen, you would see Wirtz pick up the ball in midfield and glide past players before being decisive in the final third, but that has deserted him at Liverpool. Do you see the core problem there? The Premier League is a relentless physical grind. You don't just glide past players here, not even against the most average teams. There's no space, and you don't have time. Let's face it, that freedom he had in Germany is gone. Some fans online are already saying the player is too easy for opponents to shrug off the ball, and gets bullied too easily, due to being extremely lightweight. Another thing to factor in is the workload under Arne's slot. At Leverkusen, Wirtz thrived in a system built around him. Alonso gave him freedom, pick up the ball, drift, take risks, create. At Liverpool though, Slot's demands are very different. His football is built on pressing, intensity, tracking back, and structure. And on top of that, Wirtz hasn't even had a fixed role. One week he's central, the next he's out wide. As Tony Cascarino put it on TalkSport, he played on the left yesterday, and they're trying to shoehorn him into the team. I think he's better as a number 10, but he hasn't played particularly well yet. You also have to remember, he's just 22 years old walking into a star-studded club where every touch is under the microscope. And sometimes perception doesn't match reality. His expected assists set at 1.82 across those 6 games. This means he created chances, his teammates have simply not finished them off. And the struggle for Wirtz isn't just about the league's physicality or the lack of form. You also have to look at the players he has to be out with in his own dressing room. Take Dominik Szoboszlai, for example. He was also a marquee signing from the Bundesliga, a creative 10 who arrived with huge expectations. But unlike Wirtz, Szoboszlai has become indispensable to Arne Slot. Where Wirtz is struggling with the physical demands, Szoboszlai has shown tactical intelligence, covering massive ground, pressing relentlessly, and even filling in at right back when needed. The analysis on him is clear. He is the team's heartbeat, providing the defensive stability and work rate that Slot's system demands from midfield. Szoboszlai's performance against Arsenal tells you everything you need to know about the player. He was named player of the match, even though he was forced to play in a defensive role, because he snuffed out the opposition's threat before scoring the sensational winning free kick to send Liverpool top of the table. The data backs up the difference in roles. Wirtz's genius at Leverkusen was having the ball in that deadly space and beating men one-on-one. That was his plan A. Szoboszlai's value under Slot is more like a tactical Swiss Army knife, versatile, disciplined, and possessing those special match-winning moments. And it's not just Szoboszlai. You have players like Ryan Gravenberch hitting brilliant, world-class form. Wirtz himself even called Gravenberch the player who has impressed him the most. Why? Because Gravenberch has married technical skill with the high-intensity running and tackling that Slot demands. His importance is so immense that despite his deal running to 2028, Liverpool is already plotting a bumper new contract to ward off interest from Real Madrid. The word coming out of Anfield is that the Dutchman is now seen as a key figure in Slot's plans and one of the first names on the team sheet. As Tony Cascarino warned, if Wirtz continues to underwhelm, he could lose his spot to players bringing in the goods. But here's the biggest question of all. Bayern Munich were absolutely stunned when Wirtz snubbed them for Liverpool. They wanted him to be the centerpiece of their future, and legends like Karl-Heinz Rummenigge argued that Wirtz would have been happier back in Germany. One could say the Bayern chief is pissed they got rejected by the player, but it's also a fair point, because for Wirtz, the Bundesliga is where he called home and homed his craft. A 22-year-old who has already won a domestic title. Bayern, in many people's opinion, is as big as Liverpool if he was looking at who can deliver the Champions League trophy in the next couple of seasons. But he chose the Premier League chaos over a club that has shown a level of consistency in deep runs that even rivals Liverpool's recent pedigree. It's not guaranteed, but at Bayern, I do feel he would have been the heir apparent to Thomas Müller, surrounded by familiar faces and guaranteed a league title most seasons. Those are my takes anyways. Now I want to hear from you. Was Wirtz wrong to turn down Bayern for Liverpool? And given his tough start, does he have what it takes to silence the critics and prove his £160 million price tag in the Premier League? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell, and I'll catch you in the next one.